All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Whack Comics Live. We're here with Tyler from Shattered Glass Comic Reviews. We're just gonna have a bit of a chat here. Gonna talk some comics we've been reading and talk some movies. And we're gonna have some gonna have the comic book poser joining us a little bit later as well. But first off, yeah, how you been, Tyler?
Sorry, what
been?
I've been good. I feel like so much has happened since I last talked to you.
Yeah, it's been a crazy week, right?
Yeah. I've got a bunch of new stuff. I just started opening a bunch of my like toy collectible boxes and displaying them out of box, which is I haven't done that, and I'm excited about it. But
Nice. Yeah, I've always been a inbox collector myself. I've always been a bit worried about taking stuff out. I don't know. To me they just display a little bit better in box and stuff like that sometimes.
yeah, that's how I've always felt too until I took them out, and now they look so good out of the box. I'm like, wow, I wish I would have done this so long ago.
Yeah, nice. But so I just want to chuck up a comic straight away. I don't know if you've heard of this one. This one's 3-story, The Secret History of the Giant Man by Matt Kindt.
Never heard of it.
Are you familiar with Matt Kindt at all?
Yep.
Yeah. So he does the art in this as well as the writing. And it's like sort of that watercolor type feel, but it's 3 chapters. And each chapter is about like different perspective about this giant man. So like the first chapter is from like the perspective of his mother. The second one is from the perspective of his wife, and the third is from the perspective of his daughter. And it just gets sadder and sadder as it goes along. It's so beautiful, such a great comic book. I highly recommend that one there. 3-story. Just Matt Kindt in general. He always writes some emotional stuff. I hear him get referred to as like a home brand version of Jeff Lemire a lot.
Oh.
Because he it's sort of like the same sort of style as Jeff Lemire, but maybe not as polished or something. But I don't know. I still really enjoy his stuff. But we've got Gotham City Comics in the chat. Hello, Gotham City Comics. But yeah, it's a great one. But yeah, the ones on the side too. Have you read this before? The Super Secret Crisis War?
The 3-story?
No, the one on the side here, the Super Secret Crisis War.
Oh no.
Have you ever heard about that?
Nope.
That's great. I don't know. Did you grow up watching Cartoon Network and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
All these shows,
Yeah, I definitely did. I've never even knew that existed.
Yeah, it was a IDW crossover. Like they had, having all the rights to publish all those characters for a while, so they decided to do a big crossover with them. It was the Super Secret Crisis War, and it's huge. It's like one of the best crossovers ever. it was everything like that I wanted as a child growing up, like seeing Samurai Jack, talking with Ed and Eddie, and the Powerpuff Girls and Texas Labs.
It looks awesome. That looks like something that would be for any 90s kid.
Yeah, for sure. It's great. And I also I got around to reading the comic book shop, and they had the second volume of Ice Cream Man. So I picked that up, and I got into that, and holy moly.
Did you read the first 2 volumes, all the first 8 issues?
Just the I think it's like 5 to 8 is in this.
Yeah.
Volume 2. So I missed out on like the first 4 issues. But
okay. So you read issue. Okay.
Yeah, but it's got the starts off with the falling man. Do you remember that issue? The guy falling.
I remember them all. I've read them all multiple times.
This one, like, just straight away, I was just like, oh my gosh, what am I in for here? You know?
Yes, yeah.
It's so good. But I reckon my favorite story from this volume was this one here.
Yeah, that was my favorite issue until this probably newest issue just came out.
I've got something to look forward to, because this was, I really loved this. I haven't seen a story done like this before. I just thought it was really well done. Hey, like, here we go. We got Comic Book Poser joining us. I'm gonna just bring him in.
Okay.
Hey, Comic Book Poser, how you going?
Good. Sorry, my wife decided to clean out the car today, and I can't really leave a 3-year-old outside, but she's back now, so I'm here with you fellas. What's going on?
What's up?
We just started talking about Ice Cream Man. I just picked up the second volume this week, and
it is good. I picked up all 4 in early June. I think that I'm way late to the party on Ice Cream Man. I've been hunting to try and get both of the Dr. Seuss variants of number 20. But if you just got into the second one, 3 and 4 are also good, because the shit that happens in 2, the stuff, I don't know if I can cuss on your channel, my bad.
Yeah, go for it.
But the stuff that happens in 2 might make you want to go back and read the first one after you start reading the third one to try and figure out the puzzle of the Ice Cream Man himself.
Yeah, because I was wondering if there was like a, because like Tyler was telling me last week, it's like an anthology series, so I was wondering if there was going to be like any other like sort of interweaving connection throughout the story. And like from what I gathered from this one, there's this Ice Cream Man and the cowboy like having a sort of war, it looks like, on the side.
Yeah, I think their model for writing and selling those comics are brilliant, right? Because if I were to pick up, Batman 5, 6 today and just start reading that one, I would have no idea what's going on. But I can read any solo issue of Ice Cream Man and just be like, that's a weird horror book. But if you read all of them, then there's the payoff for the people who read all of them to get some of those little connected threads.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, because I was a bit worried when the comic book store, they didn't have volume 1, they didn't have volume 2 there today. Well, not today. Last week when I went in there. But I was a bit worried about just like, because I've never just picked up a volume 2 of a trade and jumped in. But yeah, Tyler's like, it's anthology, so you just jump in anywhere. So I was like, oh, all right, I'll give it a go.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, I'm glad you did that, because it is. I mean, you really can jump in anywhere. I was late to the party too. I think I started reading them in like March, so I was way late. But I started from 1. Just I happened to, and I was like, wow, I really could have started anywhere. But it's so good.
Tyler was showing off. He picked up the Dr. Seuss variant he got for Ice Cream Man last week, didn't you, Tyler?
Oh yeah.
My shop had a bunch of stuff come in from Diamond Damaged, and his fear is that he sent it back, and since they're already going to the second printing of the Seuss variant, that they might just give him credit back. And if I want one, I'm gonna have to go pay $4 billion on eBay. But if you like the way W. Maxwell Prince writes, he's got another ongoing comic right now called King of Nowhere.
We were talking about that last week.
Oh, well,
yeah, it's a great story.
I will go back and watch it on the rewind. I bought that first one on a whim before the podcast I recorded at my shop, and was like, because I hadn't started reading Ice Cream Man, and I was still so fresh, I didn't know who W. Maxwell Prince was, and I was like, this shit is bananas. And then I read Ice Cream Man, and I was like, who hurt him? but it's brilliant.
Yeah, I was the same. Yeah, I read King of Nowhere first, but we've been getting the issues a lot slower here in Australia because of
Yeah.
COVID and everything like that. So I think I've only just read like issue 2, and I'm waiting for issue 3 to come in still.
That
The
has
latest
to be
one I
super
think
hard.
was issue 4, I think, and I've read them all, and up to that issue, I just thought it was good. But man, when it all comes together, like what's really going on,
Yeah.
I think it'll read amazing in trade, especially if you've never read it before or whatever. But it's good now. I thought it was good, and I wasn't sure, but I can officially say it's really good.
Yeah. I'm 100% in agreement with that one.
Awesome! I can't wait for the next issue. I get so sad seeing everybody, because I follow so many comic book channels and everyone on Wednesdays, showing off what they picked up, and I'm like, I gotta wait so long until I can pick up my stuff. But that's why I mainly read my stuff in trades, because sometimes by like the time the last issue comes out, like the trade's coming out at the same time for us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I am more of a physical reader than a digital person, but I've had to get used to it more because I've started, like, I get previews from like Scout and Mad Cave, and going through those has made it easier for me reading some stuff digitally. So I think maybe as you see people pulling or talking about comics, figure out, this is something that I want to have in my hands physically versus I can go get it on the cheap right now on, Comixology or anything like that. And that's a hard calculated risk to make, especially if, your local shop is depending on your money. But I think other things that I've just started reading digitally are either like Comixology exclusives or people who are just publishing digitally for the first time, and that's where I've stumbled onto some of that stuff. The other thing you could do is watch the website humblebundle.com, where about every other week they'll have a bundle of digital comics go up, and everything that you pay goes directly to charity. So like 3 months ago, I picked up everything that Hickman did on Image. So like all of East of West, all of the Manhattan projects. And then what was in the big last lot? Another random Image collection. So like all of Nailbiter. And I read all 30 issues of Nailbiter on a Tuesday night to then go pick up the 3rd issue of Nailbiter Returns, only for my shop to be shut down for 2 weeks because of COVID. So that's been kind of the upside, is if I feel like I don't, have the box or the shelf space for something, then I'll just pick it up digitally. And if I go, damn, I really like it, then I won't have problems buying it twice.
Yeah, I personally haven't really made this switch to digitally yet. Hey, I was telling Tyler last week, like I've read a couple of things digitally, but I've been collecting for around 10 years now, and I'm just so used to reading things physically.
Yeah.
I was saying to Lee last week, I never wanted to go digital at all. I don't really like reading digital, but it's so easy and convenient for me. Like I won't be home maybe all day, but I'll get 10, 15 minutes somewhere and I'll knock out a new issue of something. And so I've kind of converted to both. I also, with everything I read, I can't buy everything physically and actually have the space to store it.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, I'll buy what I really want physically, read it physically, and collect it. But things I'm on the fence about, I'll get digitally.
Yeah, and like I'm a year back into the game. Like I read comics up through high school, and then college, work, balancing college stuff took it out of me. And then I've been using like Marvel and DC's digital apps to help me fish on like certain runs I want to try and go back and get physically. So it's, I'm a big Submariner fan. So it's helped me pick, do I want to go after the hot, hard issues to find, or am I okay getting like the Tales to Astonish that are reprints of the original run? Yeah, because those books are like $80 cheaper. But then it's helped pick. X-Men is the other thing that I'm collecting a bunch of. So it's helped me pick and choose some of the runs that I missed out on of like, do I want to go get, Blue or Gold or like House of M next? So that's been the benefit there.
Have you ever used the Hoopla app?
I can't find my library card, and I've tried contacting my library a couple of times to get my card number, and I've not had any luck, and I can't sign up for another one online. But I know the guys who I'm on their Saturday stream a lot, the Comic Burrito guys from Michigan, they're all big on Hoopla, that they talk about all of their credits and all of the other big collections that they can find, because I think that's dope that it's essentially a library of libraries that I think is cool.
I don't even think I would be into comics without Hoopla, because before I got into comics, I was really intimidated to like go in a shop, or when I did, I really didn't know what the hell to pick up because there's so many books. Everything's on issue 12 through 100, and I'm like, what do I even do? So I got on Hoopla and I started reading stuff, and I was like, man, I love this. So then I started like taking risks and jumping into stories and stuff.
Yeah. Well, and I lucked out because the first book I bought was House of X #1. So it was like that was advertised properly as you just need to know that they're mutants and they are mad, and we will set everything else up. But that's why I've gravitated more to indies, like, aside from, your titles like Saga and, the 10 indie comics that you can name that are go beyond like 20 issues. It's nice that you can get a 6 to 10 issue run here or there, and you don't have to worry about all of the background.
I love indies as well, like especially miniseries, like you say, like 4 to 6 issues and stuff. Just those little short stories in and out sort of thing. This is one of them. It's one of my favorites. It's by this fellow Australian, the writer Ryan K. Lindsay. The book's called Negative Space. It's about this guy is about to kill himself basically, and he's a writer, and he goes to write his suicide note, and he gets writer's block, and he decides to go for a walk, and shit just gets crazy from there. And it's just such a great comic book. I was so sold on that concept straight away with, just like a writer getting writer's block when he's trying to write his suicide letter. It's so beautifully fucked up. Talking about the Comic Book Burrito. Hello, Comic Burrito. How you going?
Oh. We'll see, speak of the devil, if he's going to ask you the question he sent me on Discord. He wants to know why you're so mean to comics. That's concerning.
Yeah. I was talking a little bit about that to Tyler. I was just like, I started my YouTube channel just to break shit, basically,
Yeah.
I wanted to, I also want to talk about comics. That's why I want to do the live streams and stuff, just to show people that I'm not like 100% crazy and fucking ruin everything that I own. But, there's some dollar comic books that are worthless, so I'm like, why not just freeze a Mr. Freeze comic book? Or why not?
That was funny. That was awesome too. That needs to be a variant, a frozen Mr. Freeze variant.
Yeah. I mean, they make the metallic variant, so we need the ice variant.
Yeah.
And
when you started ripping that Undiscovered Country, I laughed so hard. I was like, oh my God, what is he doing?
Yeah. Sometimes, honestly, I'm just trying to figure out what to do even before the episode. I'm like with the Undiscovered Country, I'm looking through it, and I'm like, well, they got some cool cars and vehicles and stuff. And what can I do with the vehicles? I'm like, this Tom Taylor Sig one, if you see the name was like scratched out on it, that was actually, I got that signed for someone that I don't care for anymore. And
so there was good catharsis to it then.
It was, yeah. So, no disrespect to Tom Taylor either, because I love Tom Taylor. I've met him a bunch of times. You know, it's like, well, we have small conventions in Australia, but every one of them, that basically Tom Taylor is at. So he's a really cool dude. But yeah, like, yeah,
well,
you know,
everybody talks about read the way you want to, and like I was on one of Perry's streams where he was actually talking about comics and not reacting to a movie, and he was on a tear about how like speculation is killing the ability to buy comics, and had the first death metal, like the Robin King one, and he was like, I don't give a fuck what you think about the value of it, and just starts crinkling it up. And like the chat just kind of collectively curls into nails on a chalkboard. So I mean, it's yours. Like if somebody wants it after, like I'll take a thought out, mildewy, moldy Mr. Freeze.
Like, yeah, I can totally see how some people would get offended and stuff. And I'm like, I'm not like trying to offend people. I'm like definitely try to like maybe give someone a shock, you know, like because it starts off with like maybe like it's going to be like a normal type review, and then it just starts, you know, I start ripping it up or start this or that, you know. But
well, I mean, like you said, they're not the world's most expensive comics, because I think like if I did that with one of my slabs or one of my Silver Age books, like I would maybe go on a walk in negative space too and have weird shit happen to me, like.
Yeah, I think like maybe the most like in quotation marks valuable one I've done it to was the X-Men #4, the first appearance of Omega Red.
Yeah.
But even that's not a valuable comic, and there's like thousands and thousands of them in existence, you know, like
yeah.
It's...
Hey, you said you wanted to do something different with your channel. You're doing it.
Yeah, that's it. Doing something different. Just fuck it, you know. This has been a weird year. It's been a weird year, so like, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you could only do something that will open, you know, like a tear in the space-time fabric that maybe it could fix the end of 2020.
Oh, here's hoping, right?
I dig it, and when you first reached out to me, I like the idea of us trying to destroy a comic worldwide.
Yeah,
so maybe I'll burn something, and you can scatter the ashes in Australia. Like, I'll buy an extra copy of Thor #6 tomorrow and give it a Viking funeral. That would love to do that. Piss people off.
I definitely want to do some more collaborations. You know, like the live stream is definitely part of it, because I know people like to get on and do live streams, but I want to try to get some more people in on some more edited videos, and you know, just do some. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to talk about it on the live stream because I want to make it like keep it a surprise. But yeah, just do some like random different things, and then just you know, keep them going, because it. Yeah, I'm like on episode 11. I'm already like sometimes scratching my head, like, what can I? Yeah, like I think I reached the top of the hill when I freeze that Mr. Freeze comic. I don't know what to do now.
I have faith in you. You'll find something else.
Yeah, I think
the live stream is good for you too, right? Because if I just see your reviews, it's like this guy just destroys comics, but here where you're talking about what you're reading and why you like, it's like, no, this guy reads shit and just destroys the books that are whack.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I was worried that like I would get like labeled as I don't know, it's just, yeah, it's just someone that fucking just ruins shit all the time. But I suppose that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Fuck it. But anyway, have you read Gotham by Midnight?
I saw the movie.
The movie Gotham by Midnight?
Oh, no, that was Gaslight. No, that was different. No, I have not. I don't know what that is.
Me neither.
It's by Ray Fawkes. The first volume by Ben Templesmith, and the second one by I'm so bad at pronouncing names. Jean Ferreira. But it's basically about Jim Corrigan. He's got like this midnight crew shift, his own department set up, in Gotham, taking down the supernatural stuff. Do you know much about Jim Corrigan, like the Spectre?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is basically like just one of his stories, and it's so good. I really enjoy the art by Ben Templesmith. It's really different.
Looks eerie.
Yeah, it's like painted sort of stuff, and sometimes it gets
on DC Universe and add it to my list now.
Yeah, I really like the Spectre, so I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, it's really good. Like the art in this volume is really good, and like I remember because I was reading this in single issues when it came out, and I recently picked up the trades because I wanted to reread it, and I couldn't find all my single issues. I got to say, my single issues are a mess. Like I got to reorganize that stuff. But when on the second volume, when the new artist took over, I was a little bit, upset. How when a new artist comes on, it always takes a little while to readjust.
Yeah.
To the art style, but this guy's art is just insanely good. Like it's a totally different style though. Like you're going from, that really nice, like scratchy sort of painted stuff to this, almost like more realistic, I suppose, sort of vibe. But it's still really, really good. And he's really good at drawing cars.
Now is Gotham After Midnight is before that, because Gotham by Midnight's up on DC Universe. I was like, I see After, but that's 2008. But no, I like Spectre. I am getting more into liking Constantine, and I on a whim bought the first New 52 trade arc of Justice League Dark. And I was like, I think this is something that I could kind of get into with all of the magic users, or like Deadman all together, having to deal with their own like mystical drama.
Yeah, I really like that run too. It's like I think volume 2, 3, and 4, Jeff Lemire takes over, and
you want to talk about one person who I think I've never seen do anything bad, and it's Jeff Lemire.
I absolutely love those.
It's all so good.
Yeah, I actually wanted to talk about Lemire too, because I just finished reading the 4th volume of Gideon Falls. I've been reading it in trades here, and then just finished the 4th volume. And holy moly, the ending of that! It's the end of that 4th volume. I need to start reading this in single issues, especially because it's starting to wrap up now. And
yeah,
it's just getting crazier and crazier. Have you read Gideon Falls, Tyler?
I read the first volume, and I didn't stop because I didn't like it. I just started reading other things, but man, that first volume was it like terrified me. The guy, I don't remember names or anything, but the guy when they turn around and there's that guy that's all red sitting at the table like that. That's like haunting.
Yeah, it just gets crazier and creepier.
Yeah, it was so good. I need to keep reading that.
Are you reading it in Are you like up to date on it, or are you reading it in trades as well?
No, just the first volume. And I don't know what's happened after that.
I've made it up to volume 3.
Volume 3.
So I'm a little behind you. But
Yeah.
I've been liking a lot of the, I don't get to watch a lot of horror films or scary shit because I have a almost 5-year-old, a 3.5-year-old, and an 18-month-old who will walk into a room at any time. Like, my daughter was seconds away from seeing De Niro get shot in the head in The Joker.
No.
So, like, I can't enjoy those kinds of things, but I, have been consuming these kinds of books. They've been my favorites. So, like, that's why I was able to binge through Nailbiter, because it's a good straight up serial killer run, and it's written by the same guy who's writing The Flash now, Josh Williamson. Or there was a 5-issue book from Aftershock that just ended up called Bad Reception, about people who go to an off the grid wedding, and it almost reads like an Agatha Christie novel where you know the pattern for how people are, or who's going to die when, but you're trying to figure out like who the killer is and like the methodology to the pattern, which made it a fun read.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. We got Comic Burrito saying that Gideon Falls is ending in November. I'm super sad about that. But with Gideon Falls ending in November, we've also got Sweet Tooth returning in December. Have you read Sweet Tooth?
I read the first volume, like first 4 issues, 6 issues. It was really good.
That's my next big project, because so Comic Burrito, when they hit one of their subscriber benchmarks, they had a trivia contest, and Sweet Tooth was, I think it was Sweet Tooth that was on one of their favorite lists. So I did the Cliff Notes version. But then when I saw it was Lemire, I was like, I'm not gonna get mad at it. And to see that it's coming back, because is it in DC when it comes back?
Yeah, it's coming back under
Black Label, I think.
Yeah, Black Label line. So it should be interesting. Comic Burrito said he's only read the first trade as well. You guys got to finish it, because it's such a beautiful story. I was a little bit nervous when I heard that it was coming back, because it wraps up so well. It's got an ending, and it's got a great ending. But I have faith in Lemire.
I think it's going to be a show too.
Yeah, it's going to be a show.
Netflix,
Robert Downey Jr. is producing it as well. I'm a little bit nervous about that as well, to be honest, just because I'm a little bit nervous about how Lemire's designs are going to translate onto screen, but I think it'll be right.
Yeah, and I mean, especially who's behind it. Did you read Sentient, the book that he did for TKO that got nominated for an Eisner this year?
I did. That was so good. The same artist.
Part 2.
Yeah. I want a part 2 so bad too, but it's definitely opened itself for a part 2. But it was such a great read. Such a great read. It was I was on the edge of my seat. It was one of those. It was a bit creepy at the same time. Like you're just wondering what this AI robot ship thing, whatever is going to do.
Yeah,
reminded me of that movie. What's that movie called? With the
2001 Space Odyssey. That AI. I can't let you do that, Dave.
Yeah. It's like, is it going to take that kind of a twist,
Yeah.
But she was, started, I don't know, she started going into a bit more of a, nurturing role for these kids and stuff. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, and you have the ruthless AI from one ship and the good AI who's got the killer undertone.
Yeah.
I like that. Have you read any of the AWA comics that have been coming out?
I haven't. My comic book store hasn't been getting any of them in, so I might have to.
I don't
So-
think I have.
There are a lot of them. They have a lot of number ones on their website, and then I think they have other issues up on like Webtoons. But these are right now 4 to 6 issue arcs that are all like weird horror stories in their own different way. So like one of them that's about to wrap up is called Red Border. Imagine like, how did I put it together? Like if Misery and Get Out, those two movies had a love child, but it was about like border crossings. That's what's going on there. That shit was really creepy. They've got a book that book 4 comes out tomorrow called Hotel. That is all kinds of like zany horror stuff.
I have
they
read some of these.
They're if you like good new arcs to dive into, like I think this is a publisher that is just blowing the game up. That they've got super talented writers and artists, that they've got some people who you can recognize, you know, from work in other areas that will kind of help draw you in. Like Ben Percy is writing 2 stories, and he's writing a bunch of stuff for Marvel right now. But then you've also got people who are like a couple of novelists that have jumped right into the comic game with them. They've got, you know, new authors and artists. So it's cool to watch this label kind of growing in real time. And they were one of the first ones to really start reaching out to the public during the production shutdown during COVID, like, because that's when they were having their coming out party, and they're like, F it, here's a bunch of our stuff online for free. Fall in love with us. And if I have read a book that I have disliked, it's not because of the book. It's because I just don't like reading that kind of story anyway. But yeah, AWA is on fire right now.
I'll have to check them out. Yeah, because
with the
I
things
read
that you
Year
show,
Zero.
Year Zero is real good.
Yeah, it's just basically an anthology, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but it's been good. There's a couple of short stories I really liked, but I just read Devil's Highway #2,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really good. It's like a detective, kind of like a detective looking after a semi truck killer. He's like a driver finding women and killing them. It seems like there's a lot more to it than that. But
yeah, and the art in that series is just real good.
Yeah, it is. It's haunting, kind of like Gideon Falls. It's really good.
Or another one that's picking up some steam is It Eats What Feeds It from Scout.
Oh, I want to read that so bad.
It's good, and this is #2, so I'm not going to flip to anything that is spoilery, but like the art in it is just kind of consistently haunting. So like how everybody is mostly shadowy, or there's like all of this fog that is happening, like that is consistent throughout bits of the book in terms, or in the first 2 books. And this is literally like if The Graduate were a horror film, because the story is interesting, but just the creepy, shadowy elements of the art make it super creepy. And like the Comic Burrito Boys had read it by the time they went on Saturday night, and I was like, oh, I didn't read it because I thought it came out next week. Grabbed it and was reading it in real time and got to the last page, and I think my head exploded on their stream.
Live reaction.
Yeah, Scout is based on some of the things that you're showing that you like today. Scout is a publisher that you should get into, and I don't know if they ship them to Australia, but they have a monthly subscription service where for like $33 you get 12 comics that are coming out within like a 4 to 6 week window. So some months you're getting like, a couple of issue 4s and 5s and 6s in an arc. But I think, and Cole can correct me on this in the chat, I think in this book or in this next month's box, there are 5 or 6 number 1s that are coming out. So that's a good way to kind of pick some of those things up too, because they ship at the end of every month, and they're mostly all fantasy, horror, kind of thriller books right now. And then there's another book that the second one came out in this month's box called Yasmin, which is about a young woman who's fled ISIS and sought refuge in the United States and ends up in like Iowa. And it's about, her kind of assimilating to a new way of life.
Yeah.
But I knew Cole, because we were talking about this on Saturday, that I knew Cole would be able to hop in with some of that information. But it's something that I know I subscribed to on a whim, and then Cole was like, these books look really cool, and he subscribed to it, and I picked up some of the number 1s that weren't in this month's box to send to him, and forgot to send them to him last week when I sent him some other stuff because I'm a bad friend.
I'll have to hit up my comic book store, because they will like, order some stuff that they don't get in on the road if you want it, but usually costs like a little bit extra. But last week we were talking a bit about Descender. Have you read Descender?
That's the next one. Oh, and you have the beautiful hardcovers. That's what one of the burrito guys has that he's got. Are there 4 hardcovers for Descender? And then the first 2 just, and then did the first Ascender one just come out too?
I didn't think there's a hardcover for Ascender yet.
But that's
for
a story
Ascender,
that's a story I need to get into.
Yeah, I'm a little bit bummed that I got like the white volume 1 and the black volume 2. I've seen people with like matching colors. Like, how'd you get them matching? I've only seen my comic book store only had these ones that aren't matching. It's a bit of a, I don't know. But how'd you go, Tyler? You've read the first volume?
I've read the first trade. I'm like, issue 8. I think it's really good. I wouldn't say it's pulling me in as hard as some like Saga pulled me in just instantly, but I've enjoyed every issue. It's really, really good. I really like Tim, and I like his dynamic, how he's really just there to help, and he's there to please people, but he basically shouldn't be. It's really good. I want to keep reading. What is Ascender? Didn't you say Ascender is like a pre?
Ascender is after. Ascender is after Descender. So Ascender takes place like 10 years after.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's on like issue like 10 now.
Yeah, I think I just read issue 11 the other week. That's like one of the only stories that I'm getting in singles still.
There's all this stuff I need to read. I feel like I can never catch up. I'll read 50 issues of something, and then somebody will bring something else up, and I'm like, man, I haven't read that, and I just feel like I just read for a week straight.
That's my to get caught up on pile, because my shop was closed for 2 weeks. So like I have not read anything X-Men related in the last 2 weeks, which is of course like 30 books. But I've got like Adventure Man up there, A Man Among Ye, So that's what I'm looking at doing this afternoon, hopefully before my children pull me back into chaos, is hopefully cutting that in half before tomorrow comes around.
I just can't get into X-Men. I think partially because there's so many books. I'm not super into all the mutants, I guess. Maybe I just need to read it, and I probably would be, but man, there's so much. If I want to commit to X-Men, it's like I have to fully commit to X-Men. There's no like, oh, I'll read this one book, see if I like it. I'll read the next one. There's a new one every week, and it's all kind of tied together, I guess. And
yes and no. I think you can get by reading the main line, but we're on the verge of the Ten of Swords event happening, which I think is going across like 3 of the 4 million titles. But it's a lot, with especially all the single character titles like the Cable book, all the one-off giant size books. Like, you could go by without, like Giant Size Magneto is about him essentially getting an island for Emma Frost. So that hasn't happened in is she big in Marauders? Like when that shows up, maybe it'll make sense. Like, she has an island now, because that makes sense in the way Hickman writes those stories.
Yeah, you talking about it makes me not want to read it. That sounds like so much. Like, it's just too much. That's way too much. Like, I didn't want to get into Thor, but I decided, I heard so much good about it. I read it, and guess what? I'm done. I read it and I loved it, and that's great. I don't want to read like 100 different titles, all that all tie together. Especially for Marvel. I'm just not into Marvel, so I don't really want to even support them to buy that many.
Talking about X-Men, but not exactly the comics, more so the movies. The new Mutants is supposed to come out next week. Do we think it's going to come out? Is it going to get delayed again? What do you reckon?
I'm going to guess that if they have to delay it again, it's going to go digital. Because they have already delayed this film for like 2 years.
You can buy tickets at my theater right now, and just that I think that's enough. As long as they're open, it'll be there.
Oh, really? Like, you can pre-order tickets for it at your theater.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. I just got a notification yesterday about it.
Well, there you go. Looks like it's still. Yeah. I'm gonna go see it. I'm excited. If it comes out, then I'll be there to see it. I'm a bit nervous. I'm not gonna be eating any popcorn or anything like that. I'm just gonna sit there with my mask on and not touch anything.
Is it like a dead title though? Like, isn't it? It's Fox.
Yeah.
So there's no future, or it'll be tied into the MCU.
There are ways where they can cross it over. And like, that's the big problem that X-Men's going to have being entered into the MCUs. You've got the continuity of, the older mutants from the 90s, the younger versions of those mutants, from the last decade. So New Mutants could cross over, since Disney purchased all of that Fox stuff, but
I don't think New Mutants necessarily mentions any of that continuity either, though.
Yeah, but it also doesn't have any of like the big heavy hitters that you would need to make a splash in the MCU. So like, I've seen some people writing that like in like the next big phase of announcements, that you could see the X-Men or someone from the X-Men show up here or there. But yeah, New Mutants is the last sole Fox property, but then Disney will be able to use that.
It depends how much money it makes, really. Hey, like, if people love it and it's like a success, and they'll be like, of course, let's milk some more of this. And
with all this COVID, it's basically guaranteed not to make good money or money at all. And they can basically pawn it off on that too. They can say, well, it didn't make anything, but it's because of this. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I have no idea what's going forward with that. I'll see it
But
though.
it could also get fake good reviews in that way, right?
Yeah.
Like if it's the first new thing that people have gotten to see in a while, like since Scoob came out, like it could get a lot of, undeserved hype that way. I just want to see it because I've been waiting for 2 or 3 years to see it.
Yeah,
now.
same.
yeah.
I've been so
Even I want to
excited.
see it, and I don't even care about X-Men or Marvel, and I'm excited to see anything at this point.
Yeah.
Project Power did not hold me over.
That will be when everybody goes to bed for me. Is it good enough for me to enjoy it like 10 p.m. while everybody's sleeping?
Yeah, put it on. I didn't like it, but it's just a generic movie overall.
Fair.
But it's good enough for 10 p.m. while everyone's going to sleep.
Or have on while I'm editing videos.
Yep, that's perfect for that.
Nice.
That should be the tagline for Netflix. Have it on while you're editing videos.
Yeah. The white noise you pay $10 a month for, or steal from your ex-girlfriend.
Exactly.
What's the next movie coming out after the New Mutants? Is it Wonder Woman movie? Like
Tenet?
Oh yeah.
Tenet's the big one. I don't even know what the date. I'm pretty sure that's the next one coming out, but I'm so excited for Tenet. I don't know if that'll make money either.
I heard that wasn't getting a theatrical release in the States. Am I wrong?
No, it definitely is.
It is.
Christopher Nolan has been pushing big time for it to get released in theaters and not go online.
Yeah, I'm still seeing September 3rd.
Yeah, it did get pushed already though, because it wasn't supposed to come out in July originally. Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's opening overseas first. I'm pulling up a Variety article.
It is. When is it open in Australia? I might get to see it before you guys in Florida.
It will debut internationally on August 26th before opening in select cities in the United States over Labor Day weekend on September 3rd.
There you go.
So there you go. The rest of the world gets it first because you all know how to act responsibly when dealing with the pandemic.
Some of our country does.
Yeah.
Victoria.
My wife used to work for an Australian company, so we would like see the good cross section of people that you get in the United States from the Australians she worked with, either like good, level-headed, reasonable people, or people who are so far out in their ideological universe that it's just going to be bonkers and believe in freedom and your mask is tyrannical and blah blah blah.
Yeah, I'm not in Victoria, but like Victoria is really bad at the moment. It's like the state of the country that has the army out making people sure they don't leave their houses and shit.
Jesus.
But I'm thankfully not in that state. But comics are pretty much what they are everywhere in Australia. You know, like they're still printed in English. I still read them in English. Yeah, I was just around born then, like maybe 2 years old or so. Well, what time is it over there? It's like 3:23 a.m. here. I started this stream at 4:30 in the morning.
Oh my god! I was wondering what time it was. Are you usually up now, or did you just stay up or wake up?
It's a Wednesday. I woke up at like 2. I don't know. Decided to have a bit of a nap last night and woke up at around 2. But yeah, I don't know. I got some stuff I got to do today, so it's good that I'm up and at 'em already. Yeah. But I'll be in bed early tonight. What time is it for you over there?
It's 3:30 almost.
Yeah, 2:30 for me. I'm in Kansas, so I'm in the dead center.
On a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Fun times.
Yeah, but the next time you want to stream at normal times for you, I'm usually up at 2:30 in the morning, hiding from my children.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'll be down for that. I'm like, so far I've just been like working around, like other people. So when you're free, like because
Yeah.
like I work from home, so I don't have to do too much and like and suit my own sort of hours but yeah, so yeah, just I know like it's been a bit awkward sometimes, trying to figure out keeping in mind that I'm 12 hours or so ahead, trying to work out times with people and it's been pretty easy with some people, and some people like I've been having a lot of back and forth, like trying to work out a good time, and still haven't been able to work out anything. But
you can have that even when you're in the same time zone. Sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
So
oh yeah, for sure. Everyone has their own lives. We're all busy people. But you got I saw you got a show coming up on your channel, Remy. You got this or that. That looks like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, the first episode was a lot of fun, and I found some kinks that I need to work out because I think it drug a little bit too much at times. This Thursday, it's going to be part fun, part sad, because Comic Jabroni was supposed to debate on Thursday night. So the good thing is 2 of his good friends, also from San Antonio, are on that show. So the front half, we're going to have a debate between Lost in Comics and Adrian APM, and the topic is who's the better nemesis, Reverse Flash or Joker. And when Adrian told me the way he was selecting the topic in voice chat, I got a Joker impersonation from him. So I think I don't know if they were joking or if they were serious that they may come in costume. But it could be pretty fun at the front end of the hour. And then in that back half, I know there are a couple of people who haven't been on one of the big streams that have kind of spoken their piece about Edwin yet. So what I'm going to do in that back half is, if a couple of 3 people want to hop on and say something cool, if not, I've been curating a playlist of my favorite videos of his, so people can go back and still watch things, keep his memory and influence alive. But it's the first one was a lot of fun. There was a lot of controversy on whether or not the immortal Biggie Shaq really lost to Bruce and Stephanie or not. And my answer was, when all 3 of us were like, you lost, then yeah. But everybody's very excited about it. And I think if we can find a way to work it out, then it's going to be something that I like to keep doing, because I'm a high school teacher. I teach and coach debate. Thank you, Pope Cerebus. I'll hit you back when we're done here.
Rest in peace, Jabroni's. I didn't get a chance to really talk to him that much, because I just started my YouTube channel and I've slowly been messaging people, and he's someone that I watched for a while and I wanted to message, but never got around to it. I felt like I knew him, but like he didn't know me at all, just from seeing his, his vibrant personality and stuff, he's always smiling, and just I was heartbroken when I heard the news.
Yeah, but there's so I sell in auctions on Monday nights most of the time, and I'm going to try and step some of those up because I've said that half of what I sell will go to the GoFundMe to the family. But tonight, awesome. There's a big auction on Shortbox Padawan's channel where a lot of people are donating all or nearly all of what they've sold there. So like, if you've seen this massive Baby Yoda in the back, my LCS owner donated that. A Dave Sheridan anthology, so a collection of like Fantagraphics stuff, and a bunch of signed Jason Aaron books that I hope I can find some people who are in the giving spirit to get these things out of my house, because if my children come down here and see a Baby Yoda, then it looks like I will be buying that and then donating the proceeds. But I've tried to find some cool things, not just from my shop, but I've used some of my connections to publishers and authors and artists that I've worked with to get some things that might be a little bit more difficult to find from time to time, to make these donations. Because when I first started and had like a whole 20 subs, and you go back and watch some of my first videos where I'm still in my, master bedroom closet with a light barely on, and it just looks like, serial killer glow from the computer. I would just ask him questions about video editing, and then he, would go hear all of these big explanations of how to do things. And it was, it just kind of shows the quality of the person, where he's like, I'm going to help anybody out who's learning to figure out how to do it.
Absolute legend.
But yeah, that's going to happen every Thursday for a while. And then once we make it through the first tournament and I do some more tweaking, it's something that I think I want to do like 6 weeks on, a couple weeks off, and kind of go back and forth. Because where it was interesting talking on Thursday is like, we all have our opinions about, comics, and we all embrace this idea of reading, collecting, and all of that stuff the way we want to. But in some of these like debate style settings, you have to think about the way you make your argument to persuade people. And, no, we're not going to find the definitive answers to these questions on my channel. But I think it's a fun way to have these discussions in a structured way, and then watch the chat just make fun of everybody. Because that's what was happening. Everybody was laughing at what the chat was saying about him, because it was funny criticisms, or making fun of Burke for not wearing sleeves. but that's fun. It's been fun. Justin Birch is going to be one of the people who judges every episode. And if that name sounds familiar, it's because he's lettering like 6 billion comics at the moment.
Yeah, that is names.
So it's been fun to see and work with someone in that regard as well. But it's been a fun way to bring people together, because I didn't want to try and do, a Comigories knockoff, or a Lamer Frame knockoff, or, be the 4,000th, trivia contest in the market.
Yeah.
That I wanted to try this, and it's fun to me, and it gets you thinking in a little bit of a different way. So
I'd love to come on one time when you're down a guest and you need someone to come and rip some comic books up or something.
Yeah, well, and I'm about to start messaging the people who have said they'd be willing to judge for the next two weeks. So it will be something like 8 a.m. for you when it starts. So it'll be a slightly more reasonable time for you. But yeah,
sounds good.
Anytime you want to hop my way, I'm okay with that, because that was one of the ways that I started kind of consciously choosing some of the channels I wanted to ask to be on. I wanted to find a mix of some of the big channels that everybody kind of tunes into, but I also wanted to get some of those people in the lower range, because if you show up and can talk shop or are entertaining, you're reaching into a new sphere of influence of people who might come and check your shit out. And it's the same kind of, I would like to see that happen, that this community is ridiculously supportive of everyone. So
that's one of the main things that I wanted to start the channel for, was I wanted to be more a part of the comic book community on YouTube, because I've been watching it from just as a viewer, and I wanted to get involved a bit more. So I've only had the channel for a month and a half, but I've really been enjoying it so far. It's been great.
Yeah. Well, and like we both said, we like looking at what you do to comics, even if it makes Cole sad. But I like the gimmick, because it gives you something to be known for, but it forces you to keep your creativity up there. And then
exactly.
Streams like this, it's good to know that you just don't, torture and abuse your comics, that yes, you have some loved ones in bad sports. You've got, beautiful hardcover anthologies, some nice trades.
Yeah. I just want to try and answer this question as well. It's like, so the significance of collecting in Australia is like you have to really want to collect, because everything's really expensive. We don't have anything that's like in-stock trades or anything where we get, half off cover price or 30% off. We get I have to pay double cover price most of the time, because the Australian dollar compared to the American dollar, and like when you add on shipping and everything else, the comic book store trying to make some money. I'm looking that, for example, that volume 2 of because this is like one of the most recent ones I got. Volume 2, this is $16.99 US. I paid $29 for that.
Ooh.
So yeah, you really want to love comics and want to buy them, and like that sort of thing. But it might, in saying that, it might sound a bit weird with me going and ripping up comics and shit. But like I said before, we still got some $1. We still have our $1 bins and stuff like that. But the new stock is hella expensive, and we hardly get any sales. It's like New Comic Book Day is the only sale day of the year. Apart from that, yeah, that's why I don't buy too many single issues as well, because they're like double cover price for a single. It's like I just can't afford that shit.
Well, and I'll have to see what it costs to ship something to Australia. I know I just sent something to K Titus in Japan and paid like $67 for a medium-sized mailer. So maybe I'll find some stuff and send you some single issues of some weird and wild things. Or since I know what you've read, then I'll find something good to put in a box here in a month or two once I start getting paid on a regular basis again.
No, that'd be too kind of you. I appreciate
some stuff to rip up.
Yeah.
I'll
bind them together in two ways. Like the please be kind to these are good books. And then I will give you like, here are the best, like here's a copy of the Comicsgate dude who wrote Firestorm #1.
Yes, please.
Burn
like
this.
I really been wanting to get some Comic Gates book, because like you think I've been harsh to comics. Wait till I get my hands on some Comic Gates comics, man. That's gonna be some fun. That's gonna be some therapy for me right there. It's gonna.
Then I'll see
all the Comicsgate stuff. I literally don't even understand it. Like I've seen some things and I've seen videos, but I don't even watch the videos. People just say it's like hate group, and I don't even know what they're doing. I don't get it. I literally don't get it. And I also almost didn't even say this because I don't know if I even want to ask, because I know it seems so negative. I'm like, I don't even want to look up what it's about, because as far as I understand, people are not for it.
They're mad about diversity, and they're mad that superheroes don't have big boobs anymore.
Oh. I guess somebody's got to cry about something, right?
Yeah, they're not the nicest group of people. I've heard, like, I've just seen little clips, and I don't know, it's sometimes it could be out of context or whatever, I don't know, but it's like they say some really fucked up shit, and you're just like,
I have seen that.
Yeah, and just like,
what the hell
I don't know
are
if
they doing?
I can get around that, But yeah, that brought the mood down. But yeah. I'm gonna. The only reason why I haven't done it yet is because like I don't want to physically support them. You
don't want to pay double the money for.
Yeah, and I don't. And I've looked on eBay prices, and some eBay prices are pretty crazy. So I'm like, man, someone just sent me some comics, gay comics to fuck up. Like please.
I'll see if I can go find some like dirty change in the bottom of my car, gutter money, and use that to send to somebody, and I'll find one to put in your box, and I'll call it your Holy Grail.
Yes. It's going to be fun. What I'm going to do, I have planned. I think it's safe to say this late in the stream. I don't know. People who would still hear. Like, I want to, because one of the people that the Comicsgate people really don't like is Gail Simone.
Yeah.
So when I want to do this back to back, I want to do the Comicsgate one first, where I just absolutely destroy a Comicsgate comic, and then I'm going to review a Gail Simone comic, and it's going to be my first actual review.
I think that would be dope. That's a brilliant idea.
Great.
I'm not going to ruin the comic. It's going to be my first legit, actual, proper review, and I'm going to actually put.
You could use the Comicsgate comic to build a shrine to then place the Gail Simone comic on.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be great. We got that. I can't wait. That's gonna be it's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah.
I've already got. Yeah, I've got a couple of ideas that I've got for the channel, and I've got a bit of a surprise. I don't want to fully give it away, but like, look forward to episode 50 of White Comics. That's gonna be a good one. I'm really looking forward to that.
I mean, you could just go full stereotypical Australian, right? We could find you a copy of Baby Teeth and go feed it to a dingo.
Throw it in a pit of snakes, or all your venomous snakes over there. Kangaroo.
You get a Crocodile Dundee knife.
In my whole life, I've never seen a dingo. I don't know, it's a bit weird. I live in
You
Australia.
just have a buddy dressed up in a dingo costume.
Yeah, I need to maybe invest in a dingo costume. Be good. There's a fair few kangaroos around. You could go fucking. There's this comic I want to review. And maybe I shouldn't talk about it. There's this Australian comic book called Killaroo.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about this kangaroo that's just like, just like this ruthless motherfucker goes around, around the outback, fucking people up and shit. But
great.
Yeah,
I'm sure if I lived in Australia, I'd love that even more.
Yeah. There's also another. I wanted to bring it out. I should have brought it out. It's too far away for me to grab it now. But there's another Australian comic book. It's almost Australia's version of 2000 AD, but it's just called Oi Oi Oi.
I know I've seen that.
You've seen it?
Yeah, I've seen that before.
Oh, it's so good. It's like, just a bunch of like indie artists and stuff, doing these little short stories, and sometimes, it'll go on to the next issue. But most of the times they're just contained, couple page short stories. And they're crazy. They're really crazy.
That sounds cool.
Looks like we got Perry wanting to come in. Should we let him in? What do you reckon? See how this goes. Let's let him in, see how it goes.
Yeah.
Hello?
What's up, guys?
How you going, man?
I'm doing good. You caught me on lunchtime in beautiful downtown San Diego.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
What are you doing down there?
Well, San Diego is a lot of collecting going on in San Diego, obviously. But I don't know. I just wanted to hop in because you guys are great, and I thought a few minutes of comic madness, comic talk would be cool on my lunchtime.
Yeah, it's a bit of a surprise. No one's ever really just clicked the link before and come in and just been sitting there. I was like, I saw you there. I was like, should I bring him in? Should I? I don't know what to do.
I found your channel because, like I say, when you're flipping through the scroll and you see whack comics, I mean, yeah. And someone mentioned a second ago, yeah, I mean, people, everyone likes to be supportive, and that's great. And and everyone likes certain things that maybe some others don't. But there are some things out there that you can just label as just not good, just bad, or in this case, whack.
Yeah.
But the tearing up comics and getting at it was really cool. So I've been watching for a bit.
No, thanks. I appreciate the support.
But I've been doing comics for a long time.
Yeah, awesome.
And in fact, I have one copy of Killer Roo. I have a Killer Roo.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, that's great. I wasn't sure how far Killer Roo's reach was.
Yeah. Well, because I've been to Australia, so I kind of have I always have it on my radar, you know.
Yep.
Anything that's particularly Australian, I'm always interested in looking at it for a second.
Nice.
Really?
But where's the controversy now? What was the topic a second ago?
I don't know. Did we have
about whether or not we want to spend money on a Comicsgate book for him to destroy? Like, do we want to spend our money on the artistic destruction of the book?
Right. I got it. I was going to ask you, I mean, most people don't know. I mean, that's just how it is. For instance, when a particular idea gets put out into the world, sometimes the name supersedes the content, right? I'm not trying to be crazy or controversial, but I do want to give an example. One that got in trouble. I've seen people get in trouble with is the idea of BLM, right? I'm not new to the idea that Black Lives Matter, right? But the idea is different perhaps than the organization, you know? Whereas if you have support for an idea, oh yeah, the time has come. Let's get this done, versus support for an idea versus support for the organization, which may or may not have criticisms about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in the case of Comicsgate, which was a subsidiary or extension idea of Gamergate, which is exactly as you guys had started to say, that it was about, oh, we don't get to see objectification of women or big body parts and all that anymore. What's going on? Well, in Comicsgate, I think it's an interesting idea. I can't necessarily say I read any of those books or have any connection to it at all. I really don't. But I think it's interesting that a lot of what they talk about is philosophically engaging, but not necessarily
what level?
Yeah, well, I mean, they're railing against gatekeeping, which in a sense is the prevailing idea. The gatekeeping being an antithesis to diversity, right? One person's gatekeeping is another person's anti-diversity. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So, like I said, I think it's an interesting idea, but when you talk about like the situation that just happened recently, where you had an independent artist who did at one time some work for hire for an individual that in retrospect or in eventuality became, quote, associated with Comicsgate. So what I'm talking about is, you know, Jay Lee had done a cover at one time for Ethan Van Sciver, right?
Yep.
And so, and then without any research or thought, he goes and says a bunch of stuff prior to even saying anything to the artist himself, and that was pretty excoriated. You know, that was not cool, right?
Yeah.
So just this idea that and then now subsequently there are people that just say Jay Lee, oh yeah, he's that Comicsgate guy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. When not necessarily he had anything to do with anything. So that's what I mean when a title starts to get applied and it's immediately looked at what the title is as the right or wrongness of it, or even the applicability of who is involved under that. So all in all, yeah, it's just a big wank fest. But to be honest, I mean, there is something there. So a lot of times when you hear people say, "Oh, they're Comicsgate," I have no idea what that even means. Does that mean that
I think there's like a demonstrable difference in like the Tom King Jay Lee situation, right? Where I'll be the first person to say that Tom King did that way wrong, and that half fake non-apology was really bad. But then you've got people like Ethan Van Scrivener who just go on like, I'm gonna just troll the shit out of Gail Simone. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not gonna. I'll use the phrase to kind of describe the movement because I think there are large bits of the people who self-identify under that banner that are in some of those like just the troll, like the truly like gnarly people who are full of hate. There are people who like I've engaged with on Twitter about Comicsgate stuff, just asking some good, well-reasoned questions.
Right.
And you know, I'm not like you said, I'm not gonna shut them out of a room, right? I teach debate in high school. I teach government. So one of the things that I push, you know, into my kids is before you make your decision, you gotta hear both sides. You don't have to agree with both sides, but if you're listening to someone's well-reasoned, you know, outline for why they believe something, then I think that's fair instead of, you know, both sides are guilty. Like the most notorious Comicsgate people online are as bad as some of the worst people who call them out. So I think, you know, it can be equally bad on both sides at times, but I think, you know, the idea that he shared a minute ago of, you know, burning an EVS book and then hailing Gail Simone is a lovely like arc of performative criticism.
Yeah, it's performance art. Flammable performance art. Well, I think it's interesting though, because I would like to see, you know, when you have certain equivalences, like for instance, is there any history or is there any, because I don't know, so I'm asking, I'm not saying this question like I have the answer, but has any person that it's in Comicsgate idea, have they ever tried to quote cancel anyone? I mean, like you say, I guess they can go and they can have their opinions. When you said that about Ethan, I thought he sounds to me like, you know, like a Rush Limbaugh, like a polarizing figure who just happens to be at the top of that game.
I don't know if they go out of their way to cancel anyone, but they sure do laugh about people getting cancer and shit.
Yeah, I can see that, and I think too that that if you, not you particularly, but I think in the royal you look at the situation when people come and attack your livelihood, your ideals, your whatever, and you think it's unfair and not healthy or not right, then you do build up an animosity, you know. So it does make sense that they would, in other words, you're not it's not I want to say Gandhi. You're not Gandhi, you know, you're not, or whatever, whoever forgives their enemies, you know what I mean? It's very Christ-like, I guess, maybe. But, you know, I wouldn't say that they are in that category. I think they will go against those that are opposing them, maybe. You know, but who's right? We don't know. Their point of view
type thing, right? Like, let's all be blind.
Yeah. Their point of view, I think, right now has been, well, the comics industry, print runs on comics and success of series that are helmed by these individuals, they're tracking them and saying, look, they're plummeting, they're going down. Whereas they're saying Kickstarter has been exploding lately. So is that the next phase? Are we going to see that movement collapse. I mean, no one thought that the comics industry was, oh, it's never gonna, it's fine, it's not gonna collapse. Well, it stopped publishing for a few months just a little bit ago. Oh no, everything's fine, everything's gonna be okay. Oh, and then DC lays off a bunch of people and cuts a bunch of titles, and Marvel's doing the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh no,
Yeah.
everything's fine. But now Kickstarter, I mean, like I said, and
To defend Comicsgate, is this your end game here? Like,
no, not at all. That's what I'm saying. I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't care. I don't read any of their stuff at all. But I'm just saying, if you look at the fact that they're saying, look, we're doing this stuff independently. We're not having to go through gatekeepers. You can't really affect us. You're only tangentially trying to take down people that are associated with us. If you did a cover for me 10 years ago, well, then, you know, you're now tarred and feathered with that moniker. Like I said, that's just, to me, that's suspect of something to look at. You know, they're making money selling comics, and they're saying, and who else is? Well, not you guys. You know what I'm saying? So I'm playing almost a devil's advocate for an idea that I don't really care or believe much in, but I just figured I'd say that just because I love stirring a pot, even if it's not my pot.
But I mean,
You know?
there's definitely a legitimate point that, right, the court of public opinion judges way too quickly, right? And I think Tom King J. Lee is the perfect example of that, where the moment that Tom King says it becomes canon, and then when he doesn't retract it with the strength that he could, then I think it becomes problematic, and it gives, you know, some of the loudest Comicsgate voices the fuel for their fire, you know, that he swings and misses that badly.
Right.
I think, you know, where you're right that crowdfunding is going up for comics. I think in looking at the distinction between, you know, not like, I think you're seeing more people taking a willingness, regardless of where their ideology is, to try and tell a story. And I think gatekeeping will exist regardless of whatever kind of prevailing wind goes. So I think the upside of crowdfunding is, if you think you can find an audience for your story, right, it's the field of dreams. If you build it, they will come. And I think that will be one of the things that will cause comics to morph. I think where the industry is currently running into problems is, you know, the monopoly that Diamond had on distribution. You now have the House of Mouse and AT&T at the top of the food chain of Marvel and DC, and it's evident that they're there for the profits and don't give a fuck about the comic side of the industry. And I think that's why you're seeing struggles there. Like, you know, all the people lost their jobs. So instead of DC having to do like collectibles in-house or distribution of their entertainment properties in-house, they could outsource it to another entity that they have a relationship with.
Well, they already have that. They already have those means of production in another area. So cutting the DC Direct thing made perfect sense. So all that makes perfect business sense.
Yeah.
One of the things I think might be interesting for me, I was just curious right now thinking about it, is to see if, because like I said, I don't think I've ever read anything per se, but it'd be interesting to go and see and read the books that they are producing. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And look at it and see, hey, do we see some sort of agenda here per se? I mean, or are these just more stories? They you know, they're just putting out stories. Whereas if you look on the other side with DC's attempt at that 5G, which fizzled, and Marvel's obvious approach to wanting to diversify and include and all this stuff, and they're actually putting that content in the book. So they're actively doing that in the books that are in the mainstream. But are those on the other side, are they actually putting in that type of counter rhetoric per se into their narrative? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if they're just out there producing books about, you know, adventure and whoever, you know, whatever, but there's not necessarily anything that's pro anything, or do you know what I'm saying? I'd be curious to see if they're just stories and that they're labeled such, so therefore they're on the outskirts. I don't know. It's an interesting idea.
I've seen one that kind of takes that same kind of like back matter approach to explaining things from, because for my blog, I get a lot of people who will email me stuff to review, and I've stumbled on a book or two that's made its way into my inbox where it's been that same type of like ideological push, and it's up to me as to whether or not, you know, I am willing to use my voice to either bring it into the open world or
your dollars.
Yeah, because the way that I go about putting reviews out there, for the most part, the two types of reviews I write are either singing its praises or this is okay, but it's not for me. But like, I'm not going to openly, you know, tear our work down. But if I can identify why I'm not the target audience, then I'll do it. But then there are some of those instances where I'll look at framing, I'll look at the way its story is told, I'll look at language that is used and go,
yeah,
I just not going to talk about this in either instance. And I've had only one author ask me why I opted to not review, and I gave, you know, my 99 theses about why, and they were like, okay, fine.
So Whack, what's it like from a I mean, I don't believe that the climate or the culture or the whatever's going on right now, that anywhere in the world is, well, that's not true. There's most places in the world are not immune to this situation that's going on right now. So what is your take on it from a non US kind of point of view? What's your thought on this whole comics particularly, but culture in general?
So from over here, like, the only thing that sort of reaches me is all the bad stuff, you know, like from the Comicsgate, you know. So like I've only heard, you know, like, yeah, I haven't really heard anything positive. I haven't really read, because we don't get their comics in the store and stuff, obviously, and shit. So I haven't like read anything they've done. I don't know if it's like, but I don't know. From what I've heard, and like I've sat down and I've watched some EVS streams, and he just seems like a real self-righteous douche, you know, like really opinionated and just, I don't know.
That's why I said like a Rush Limbaugh, because you can't deny per se that Rush Limbaugh is, quote, maybe famous or influential, certainly successful, but kind of a douche, right? I mean, it's just ideologically, he's far from where I feel, so I feel that way about him. Yeah. And people that don't align with that, I think that's the same. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I haven't seen the movement do anything positive yet, you know? Like, like I see them as tearing down other artists as well, you know, like that Wonder Woman cover that's coming out, you know, and like I thought it was an alright cover. I didn't see anything bad with it, you know, but fuck, they're tearing shreds of it, you know, and they're like, what would you choose, DC or Comicsgate, you know? And they're showing this cover of Wonder Woman, and then they've got this cover of this huge, this thin gut, but like really wide hips and huge breasted lady on the cover, you know. You're like, so you know, like you're saying you should come over here because we've got the sexier drawings. I don't know.
Yeah, I've had that situational discussion with my wife just this weekend when she was looking at a book that I was really looking at, and I was like, oh, I really like this book, but it was an artist and a real limited book, but all she saw was your description of like, wow, you think they could put a costume on her or something? What's going on?
Cover, as they call them in the auctions.
Right. So that's understandable. But I mean, I don't think we can separate the idea. And my take on it real briefly was, I don't think that accomplishment wise, I don't know. I don't think women couldn't be here without men. You know?
But hey,
And that's not in a domineer, none of that. It's just literally we need both. We need men and women for this to go on and continue. Right? So
sweet phrasing.
well, I mean, how do you make a baby without both? I don't know.
Yeah, but like, why would you? I don't know. It's just like to
And you
say,
can come and you can disagree and come out. That's fine. I like this kind of stuff. This is fine with me because at the end of the day, we'll still all be fine. You know what I mean? But what was odd about that, or what were you going to comment?
I don't know. I feel like this discussion's not going where I really wanted it to go. You know, like just want to have some fun and stuff. And we're going, I don't know, we've ranted about this confiscate shit for a while now, and I've had enough of it. I know about you, Remy. What
Fair
do you
enough.
reckon? You've had enough,
I don't
Remy?
care about it either, so we could talk comics. I was actually going to ask you a couple of comic stuff, but
Yeah, go. What do you want me to ask me some comic stuff?
well, my thing I think extends back about maybe a little less than 2 years, and I've collected comics for almost 40 years, and I go through cycles, particularly with Marvel, and I don't necessarily want to say that I coincide with that right now because of what's going on. I've about a year and a half ago, maybe, I started to completely cut Marvel out of my pull. And I would oftentimes on videos say, you know, God, I hate Marvel. I run into this every so often. I don't like them. And by hating Marvel, that means I only collect like 3 or 4, 5 titles from Marvel. You know what I mean? So I always call myself a hypocrite because I can say, oh man, I hate this, but then I keep buying it or something like that, whatever. But I find that from time to time I do have that effect with Marvel. And in recent times, I had seen myself getting more into DC probably 2.5 years ago, which was kind of odd for me. I've always been into independent books more than anything. And so with the proliferation of independent books, I had to start making choices, and it was very easy to start cutting out Marvel. And then it became even easier to start cutting out DC because there was a little bit of a floundering in that. So I don't buy much big two, to be honest. So I'm very much into the independent books. So that was my take on it. And it just so happens that it coincides with this situation now of choosing sides and all this kind of stuff. But I love comics for what is inside them. You know what I mean? Great stories.
I think that's where I'm at. Like when I started buying things, my pull list was 80 to 90% Marvel, Batman, and then I would start cover buying independent titles. And then as, you know, COVID has continued on and distribution has slowed, I've cut out more Marvel stuff, but it's because I think some of the writing has gone down or it's too repetitive of the same kind of tropes. Whereas I think DC is still finding some ways to make it fresher. Like DC's Elseworld tales are just better to me than the Marvel Elseworlds. But then now, like, I think in my pull list video that's coming out today, I have, 22 books that I'm picking up.
Right.
And I think 3 of them are X-Men. 3 of them were Death Metal, Batman, and Wonder Woman, Dead Earth. And then everything else is an indie. And I think indie books are just getting more interesting because there's a broader, since they don't have to deal with, you know, decades of canon and lore and history, that you can actively see short-term universes get created, and the financial risk is lower as a consumer to get into, right? If I buy all 6 issues of a short indie run and I'm disappointed, I'm only out $22. But like, I bought the first 44 issues of Nick Spencer's Spider-Man run, and it was just terrible because nothing happened. So I think
Did you
where
see my
you're-
review? I did a review on. See that one?
I gotta go find that one then, because I sold them. Like, I said Spider-Man in an auction and said, here are 40 books that have been read once and put back in the bag, and someone was like, you said Spider-Man, I will take them.
I made
So I
some
think it's-
coolers. I made some coolers with this the Spider-Man comic. It was really good.
I'm gonna go find that one then.
Yeah, what you said about that, it almost echoed exactly where I'm at. Is like I've got about 25 maybe tomorrow, and 3 or 4 might be both Marvel and DC, and it's mostly Batman, Death
Yeah.
Metal. The 4 titles that I collected along when I was supposedly down on Marvel was Thor, Venom,
Yep.
Immortal Hulk, and Daredevil. Those were the 4 books that I loved because I love those characters. So I stuck with the good stuff apparently.
Yeah.
And even Lucio Perillo on the Amazing Spider-Man variants and stuff was not enough to get me to buy them at
Yeah.
all. So yeah,
Well, and I'm
I
glad,
agree.
like, my Marvel pull list part got cut down by all of the stuff that they were pushing digitally. So, like, thankfully, of some of those that they're now printing physically, I did pick up Ghost Spider. I'll pick up Jane Foster Valkyrie tomorrow. So, like, some of those titles that got cut because
Right.
they were the lowest selling books, I mean, that might be why I like indie, is because the stories that lure me in from Marvel are the ones that maybe are a little bit more intriguing but don't have that, wide net of appeal.
Yeah, that mimics the same thing for me with DC as well, because I was a huge Vertigo fan. So I was collecting all the Vertigo titles, especially that new stuff when it came back. Hellblazer was really great.
Mhm.
Lucifer was one of my favorite titles. And then because of this, they lopped off printing floppies of Lucifer. I think they're
Yeah.
just going to end that story with a trade. And that was kind of a bummer. And then they did away with it altogether, or just previous, they did away with Vertigo for Black Label. So I was doing Black Label. And now I'm not sure what's going on with that, but yeah, I really like
think
those.
the
You
way
said
that
Dead Earth.
they-
Yeah, you were
I
into
think-
Dead Earth, and I was doing the Question.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
Oh, I've got the Question. That one is fire.
Yeah.
I think the only Black Label I have not liked was Superman Year One.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, I
trash.
didn't bother. I didn't buy that.
Yeah, that I will. Maybe that will be my inaugural Whack Comics tribute video.
Hey,
That it's just sloppy and all over the place. That whereas the 3 issues of anything else, or even the single issues of the Black Label books, build a consistent story arc, and the Superman one just bit off more than it can chew, and did. I think Bendis wrote Year One, and I think it's as descriptive of how he is Nick Spencer-ing Superman right now.
So that's
I think
Frank
is the best
Miller,
way
wasn't
to
it?
explain it.
wasn't it Frank
Yeah.
Miller?
Did Miller? I'm gonna go look at it. Hold on.
I'm sure it was.
Well,
Miller.
I know he was involved. I think you're right in that. Some way he was.
It's Miller and
You're right. It is Frank Miller.
yeah.
It's
so-
not good Frank Miller. All right,
No.
I gotta go. I got a text from my wife that
No
children are
worries.
swarming her.
No worries. Yeah, I gotta go too. About to end the stream. So thanks heaps, guys, for popping
No
in.
problem.
Yeah.
I appreciate
Another
it
stream
too.
again
Thanks,
sometime
man.
soon. I'll talk to you
I-
soon. Comic Book Crazy. We got to do some more stuff together. It was good.
Likewise,
really good
and-
meeting you.
Thanks.
Hope Cerebus, if you ever need a pot to stir, you can come my way, and you and I can devil's advocate each other until we're blue in the face.
Yeah, because that's how it should be. Discussion. Right on.
You should come check out my debate show on Thursday nights at my last moment of a shameless plug.
Definitely
Done
do
deal.
that.
All right, guys.
Alrighty.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye. Ciao.
See ya.
Have a